WhatsApp today and get active with Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
The following is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What's on your mind, Cayman? If you're ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Discussing current events and local news, community spotlights, hot topics, listener stories, cultural and historical discussions, environmental issues, fun and lighthearted topics, guest interviews. Cayman, basically anything you want to talk about, we are ready to listen. Here's your guest host.
Good afternoon. I'm Charles Glidden. Welcome. Coming up next on Talk Today, we'll hear from the Cayman Islands National Party candidates for Red Bay, Prospect, and Georgetown Central. In the second half of the show, we learned about one of the independent candidates for Red Bay right here on Radio Cayman's Talk Today. Stay with me.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Talk Today is also brought to you by Mike's Builders. Call 923-0706. Mike Builders. They make it happen. Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990. 949-8037 or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Talk Today.
Welcome back. In our first segment today, we hear from three Cayman Islands National Party candidates. Joining me in the studio now are Don Thomas, who is standing for Red Bay, Carmen McField, who is standing for Georgetown Central, and Prospect candidate Myles. So we're not going to be taking phone calls, but if you want to put a question to these candidates, you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261, and I'll try to read your question to the candidates. Folks, welcome to the Talk Today studio. Now, let me begin by asking each of you, what attracted you to be a part of the Cayman Islands National Party? Who would like to start?
I'll start. I wanted to do this for a very long time. 4 years ago when I ran as an independent. I believe that we need a government that works for the people. As we assembled this team, I recognized one great thing that we all had in common. We didn't need a job. We knew that a job needed to be done. And we've all formed this party because we want to serve our people, and we want to serve it with the highest levels of integrity. We want more transparency, and we want decency. And that's why I joined these folks here, because every one of them are professionals and experts in their own field. I believe that, with them beside me, that we are almost unstoppable in giving Caymanians back the power. And I believe that in our heart, we can actually do a phenomenal job in ensuring that Caymanians are better off in the next 4 years.
Ladies, what attracted you to the National Party?
To be honest, this is my first time I thought about running, and I wanted to throw my hat in the ring simply because I just thought the opportunities for young Caymanians wasn't there, and that was the predominant driver for me deciding to run. And as Michael said, I was not looking for a job, but definitely there was a job to be done. Mm-hmm. But when I met with the National Party and the team of individuals that had been assigned, put together, it was so refreshing to be a part of the group. And again, it was like-minded individuals that were willing to put people before politics and that were there to come forward because we care. And that is what drives us at the core, is that we are actually individuals that care. We want changes for our people. We see the suffering, we see their hurt, we see the angers, we see the frustration. We've seen it, we've experienced it. Some of us have more exposure than others, but definitely I would say for sure to the hurt. I think Michael has been on the ground for a long time and he's seen some of the devastations that have been caused by the failures of previous governments, and bringing that to the table. And it just resonated with the rest of us who have also seen it at different levels. We're here because we care. And the party is like one well-run machine. We are running in the same direction for the same reason, and that is the people of the Cayman Islands.
Ms. McField?
Yes, and I would say the same. I agree with them. And I would say I started out because I've been doing community work for over 25 years. I have been involved with my community and my people, part of Girls Brigade for 40 years, a little bit over 40 years. And I have been involved with my church in doing tons of community outreach, and also with the school, doing after-school programs with our public schools and working with our children and a lot of parents. And I've heard their cries. I've heard what's happening and the lack of. And it was time for me to say, I'm doing this unofficially. Why not step up officially? I was approached almost 2 years ago by the party leader, Dan Scott, asking me, and I was introduced to him. I knew of him and knew him, but not on a personal level. But I was introduced by his close friend of his, and they told him that I've been doing phenomenal work in the community. But when he asked me, I took almost 9 months praying about it and considering, and the answer came like, "You've doing this unofficially for a long time." I have a job. I had a job. I work full time in the private sector doing private banking and compliance work and trust services for over almost 30 years. And it was time for me to step up and say, okay, Carmen, you're doing this, but your people are still hurting. If the job was being done, I would not have to step up. Nothing against my opponents or anyone that run in Georgetown Central or other parts of the Cayman Islands for this campaign. But if they were doing such an awesome job and a great job and the people wasn't still crying, I would not step up. I would say, you know what? A job is being done and it's being done great. There's no need for me to step up. Continue doing what you're doing on a part-time basis and doing that till 10, 11 at night. But no, it's not being done. And I must push here before you go any further and ask my general public in the camera. Who's watching on YouTube? Do you see this? $225, that's $50 CI. That is the wages of a minimum wage person after 8 hours working. $48 when you calculate it. $50 a day. What can that do for the people in this community? What about our seniors who can't work anymore? Mm-hmm. What are we doing? Our people is still left displaced. Some of those persons retire from government and going home with $430 or $50 at the end of the month. What can that do for our people? We need to do better than this. If that wasn't the case and I had to be asking everybody, okay, it takes a village to raise a child, or it takes a village to take care of all of our people. What about us? We go and asking everyone to chip in a little, fill this basket so I could feed the family down the road. Let me help Sarah and her 4 children. Let me help them with uniform. This is not the time when we're building $10 million park and we're using the money giving concessions, but our seniors, our children of this country is punishing. And what about our single mothers who's struggling? That's no excuse. It's just not acceptable anymore. So I had to step up. If you ask me, there's many reasons. I had to step up. I had to leave the other job to do this job because our people is crying.
You touched on a number of points there, and we're going to pick it up after we take this break.
Thank you.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Looking to transform your space? From custom homes to commercial spaces, we bring your vision to life with precision, quality, and elegance. At Mike's Builders, we make it happen.
Mike's Builders turned my dream home into a reality. Their team is professional, efficient, and truly the best in the business. Good communication? Check. Cleanliness? Check. Professionalism? On point. You have to try Mike's Builders for yourself.
Call us today at 923-0706. That's 923-0706. Mike's Builders. Let's build a beautiful world together.
The nation listens. The candidates speak. Subway presents the General Election Debates live in studio on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM and 93.9 in the Sister Islands every Monday and select Wednesdays from 7 to 10 p.m. 2 sessions, one powerful discussion with Election Day fast approaching. Hear what the candidates have to say on the cost of living, housing and development, economic growth, sustainability, education, transport, tourism, immigration and more. Who has the vision? Who has the plan? Hear it all unfold live, unfiltered, and on the voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM and 93.9, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Visit Radio Cayman's social media pages for debate details. Brought to you in part by Cayman Enterprise City, Reflections, UCCI, and YUM.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Building a cruise pier means years of construction, traffic congestion, business closures, and lost jobs. And for what? A project that mainly benefits the cruise lines? Local businesses, tour operators, and family-run shops will feel the impact long before any promised gains materialize. Why should Cayman take on the risk, while cruise companies take the reward? Vote no on April 30th.
Caymanians deserve better. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. I'm talking to three National Party candidates today. Don Thomas, who's running for Red Bay, Carmen McField, running for Georgetown Central, and Michael Myles, who's standing in Prospect. Before we went to the break, you touched on minimum wage. How do you all stand on minimum wage? You mentioned it. I guess we can start back with you.
Well, We want to address the minimum wage because when you look around now, $6 an hour, families cannot survive in Cayman on $6 an hour. So that is something that we done our workshops as part of the team. We done a few workshops on how we're going to address minimum wage and on what is a suitable minimum wage. There's many factors we need to look at, but minimum wage definitely needs to increase for our people to survive. We need to consider what is an appropriate or a decent wage to start off with minimum wage. It's definitely more than the set $8 an hour. And I would say $6 is not cutting it. The people, our Cayman people cannot survive. Hence the reason we're so much our Caymanians are suffering nowadays. They can't meet ends. They can't meet ends. They cannot afford to pay CUC. They can't afford to buy food to eat for their families. So $6 an hour is not sufficient. We are looking at the various streams on how we could increase minimum wage and what that suitable amount would be for minimum wage. It's definitely more than the $6 and more than the $8.
Mr. Myles, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we have kicked this can down the road a long time, and I think the majority of the times that we have started to discuss minimum wage, we've had lobbyist organization or people that come in with different agendas. And the unfortunate part is exactly what Carmen just stated. Every time we sit down and talk about minimum wage, we don't actually consider Caymanians. We're always talking about, well, if we raise it, how does this affect business? Well, here's what's happening now. An individual who's making $6 an hour, they can't pay their health insurance. They can't purchase food. So what's happening? We are now subsidizing the majority of our people through the Department of Financial Assistance, or we have churches subsidizing them, or we have NPOs subsidizing them. We now have more people on welfare in a country that's booming than we've ever had, right? Is that appropriate? Is that really what we want? So we've built a country, but we haven't built a people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is because we have suppressed wages because of cheap labor. So we now have a number of people coming into our country who's living sometimes 10 to 12 to a 2-bedroom, and they can split all of their finances 12, 13 different ways, send their funds back home. But as Caymanians, our kids can't purchase jobs, our kids can't purchase houses, our kids can't afford health insurance, our kids can't afford groceries. All of this is contributing to a depressed society. Mm-hmm. And if we don't end that, what we are going to have is indigence all the way around.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it also adds, so what does the National Party stand on this? It's going to be very clear. It's a problem that we've had for, 8 years at least, that I can think of. We've talked about it for 2 terms. It's been in a lot of manifestos up until this point. It is not just a part of our manifesto. It is going to be something that we're going to address, and we're going to address very quickly. And perhaps we're going to change the context from minimum wage to sustainable wage, because we realize the complexity of the problem, and we know that it has to be, but we know it has to be addressed, and Caymanians must benefit first. That is what we're going to be looking at. So we're going to change the term. We're going to go to sustainable wages, and we're going to come up with a plan of its implementation, and then we're going to get on with just the actions of actually implementing it. We're not going to convene any more boards or write any more papers, or the problem is the problem, and it just needs to be addressed. Yeah. I am sick and tired of hearing about it's going to be addressed and it becomes a bulleted item on someone's report. We can no longer accept it as just a bulleted item on someone's manifesto. It needs to be addressed. At the end of the day, it is our people that are paying for it. Mm-hmm. It is our country that is paying for it. And the government cost ballooning is also paying for it because, as Michael said, we are subsidizing the problem within government. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. Exactly. And whilst we are spending it on our people in that way, if we would make simple changes to the way our people deserve to be treated, then we can fix the problem that way.
And I would jump in and say, yes, we can't keep putting Band-Aid on a cut and just say it's going to heal well and we don't clean that cut and fix it. You need to put some good peroxide in that cut, clean that out, and put some good Savalon, some good medicine on that cut. We have been... Don't forget the Vic Salve. The successive government has been just covering this with Band-Aid. Band-Aid over Band-Aid over Band-Aid. No resolutions to the problems. And that's the reason we're suffering. And they feel that you could just hand out, keep helping not educating our people that this is the reason that we go into NAU, and NAU is their whole budget is skyrocketing, is because you feel like, let's go and fill out a form, just go NAU. The money don't fall out of the tree, and it don't grow on the trees. The grandmother used to say that to us. Do you think money grow on the trees, my darling, my granddaughter? And you would say, no, money don't grow on that tree because we're outside under the tree all day and we don't see it growing. So it obviously do not grow on a tree. And the problem we have in not educating our people, what we want to do is keep them under our feet, keep them uneducated and uninformed, and just see that they think that they could continue handing out to them, and they don't understand how the government receive this revenue, how the money come. We need to educate them, teach them how to spend, how to budget, teach them how hard the money. And when they have a certain budget, we spending it on what? Giving more concession and spending it on things that these pet projects, I call it, and it's not necessary. What is more valid? Helping people with homes, helping seniors with programs in transportation and healthcare versus a park for what? Beautification? What are we doing with that park? How beneficial is that park? What about our senior or middle-aged and retirees who's struggling and can't live off of that pension? What about them? They're saying, this month I'm only getting $1,200 pension. How do I survive from that $1,200? How do they pay CUC, still have a mortgage, still have to go to fosters, and have grandchildren and children there living in their home, and they have to also contribute to help them? And you wonder why some of our people is struggling and suffering from mental health. Yeah. This is part of the problem.
Well, let me ask you keep giving me these segues to go into.
Yeah.
Are we preparing the young people to enter the workforce sufficiently?
We're not.
Yeah,
we're not.
They come out of school?
No, we're not.
We're not.
We got to admit that. We're not going to make it sound good. We're not putting sugar coat over this today.
No,
we're going to tell you the truth. We're not.
We're not preparing our young children. I think it's safe to say that we've failed our kids as well. I think that's evident by the pass rates that are coming out of our schools. We're failing them not only from an educational standpoint, we are failing them on job opportunities. We are failing them in just in a social and economic way. It's the number one word that I hear from children when they talk to me, and I'm talking kids between the ages of 18 and 27, is that they feel suppressed in their own country. That is the word that they used. Mm-hmm. That's not my word. That's their word. Suppressed. That is a very strong word to use. And if you think about how a feeling of suppression happens, is that you feel like you're being stifled, you're being kept down, you're being suppressed. And that is where it's very enlightening to me that we have had these systemic failures over time, and we have not done anything to really address them. And as Carmen said just now, it's ridiculous. You spend $10 million on a park, but $10 million could have built 50 affordable homes. Yeah. 50 affordable homes could have been built with $10 million, but now we just have a park for it, as an example. And then, as Michael was talking about earlier, you wonder why mental health is on a rise in the Cayman Islands. One of the number one factors is the inability to live on the money being made. So then you're struggling with the pressures of your food bill, your insurance, your light bill and all the bills, your mortgages, and then you're only making so much money, but yet the bills keep coming in and they're continuing to rise. And then you struggle then, what do we pay for first? Do I pay for my health care? Do I pay for food in my mouth? Do I pay for the roof over my head? What do I do? And that's one of the number one contributing factors to the mental health rise in the Cayman Islands. There are others, I'm sure Michael would touch on some, but let's just take it that way, shall we?
Before we go to the break, let me have your thoughts on education, because I know you do a lot of work with young people.
Charlie, I've been working with young people over 35 years now, since I was about 17 years old, as a former social worker and now an entrepreneur that manages a training center. I'm a social worker every single day. These two young ladies are exactly right. 90% of the young people that come into our center have been diagnosed or undiagnosed with a mental health issue. all of them have graduated from our public school system, and none of them actually know where the jobs are to be sought. They're not prepared for that because they don't have the basic skills to do that. What employers are asking for are basic skills now. Emotional intelligence is a major one that a lot of our kids aren't actually trained to do. We don't talk careers in our public schools. We talk jobs. And if you are not, going to be an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor or one of those careers, everything else is pretty much non-existent, because we believe that working as a plumber is beneath working as an accountant. So we have kicked the can down the road on careers in the trades industry. Well, I've always said to a lot of folks, who's making the money today? You're always going to need a plumber. You're always going to need an electrician, a mechanic. You're always going to need, Don is a qualified project manager. These are people that are getting paid $150,000 a year. I've never met a Caymanian project manager other than Don. I've never met very few, if any, because every time an HVAC technician comes to my house, they're non-Caymanian, right? And I'm not saying that they're not there. I'm saying that we're not producing them. So where do we start? We have to start from the public schools, and it has to be embedded in the curriculum. We know the demand, right? We know the demand, and the demand is right actually in the Department of Work. So work and education, we have to interface both of them, because work controls the labor demand, education controls the curriculums. So both of them have to be married.
Time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Let me ask you something. You think if we keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, anything can change? No, brother. Cayman needs change. We deserve better. And I say no more. Caymanians are not for sale. Real change comes from hard work and investing in our people. And the time for change is now. And I will deliver the change we need.
Ranking Nipsey one for we. Give him the vote and you will see.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. We continue our talk now with Don Thomas, Carmen McField, and Michael Myles, all National Party candidates in the upcoming election. And Mr. Myles, mental health has been mentioned several times already this afternoon, and I know that's a subject that you want to delve into some. So
yes, first thing I want to say is condolences to the family in East End who lost, a son, and it's so tragic. I can't imagine losing a child, and certainly in that way. And my condolences on behalf of our party, to that family. This is the one that I am most concerned about because we've kicked this can down the road very often. 4 years ago when I ran, we had a number of candidates who ran on this, including my opponent, who is a former health minister, and nothing has been done. We've also had, the premier who also ran on this as well, or, the first premier of PACT who also ran on this, and nothing happened. One of the biggest challenges that we have in our country is we have no follow-through. We run in things because it sounds good and because we believe that that's what people want to hear. So mental health is one of those. And Chalo, just let me, give you just some stats, right? The Alex's Place data in 2023, between 2023 and 2024, there was a 155% increase in young people checking into Alex's Place at Georgetown Hospital. 155% increase. Out of the 269 young people that checked into Alex's Place, they appeared in Alex, they checked in over 2,658 times. Now just let's think about that figure for a second. We have almost like a cancer in our country, and yet the average child do not have health insurance. Why? Their parents can't afford it. The SHIC plans don't cover mental health, and average plans only cover up to $800 CI in mental health. And yet, our government subsidizes indigent over $80 million. Now, imagine if we can give every child, every parent, every citizen who has been diagnosed with a mental health challenge, health insurance, because it's necessary. What if we can assess every child in our public school system, no different than we did with school lunches, that the moment that they have been assessed and they've been diagnosed, that they automatically are insured, rather than building a $60 million school, or as Don and Carmen said, a $10 million park. Why can't we actually make this a priority where every child, every adult that's Caymanian is covered? We do not, Don alluded to this, we do not have a budget issue here. Our country makes over $1 billion. We have an expenditure issue. Mental health has been on our books for 30 plus years. 30. I've been in so many conferences. I've attended so many funerals. And all officials have talked about is the tragedy behind this. And yet, all they do is they fund another, as Carmen rightfully said, another pet project, another building. I'm tired of that, and I think as an organization, we're tired of that. We're tired of governments, successive governments, and it's not this past one, but we've tired of successive governments getting in, running in mental health, getting people very all excited that we're going to do something, and the moment that they get elected, we're off to the races and building a building and not actually putting in the necessary resources to do this. So what the Cayman Islands National Party is about implementing to make sure that every child who's been diagnosed or every citizen who's been diagnosed, they have to have health insurance to cover that. We also have to make sure that health insurance companies are also covering this. Because if I'm paying for health insurance and it's very expensive here to get health insurance, then why wouldn't we not make sure that as an organization, they're covering companies that have certainly employees who are struggling with this? Why should the government have to subsidize it by a ridiculous amount of money because the organizations do not want to force their health insurance providers to cover it? That has to end, and we're going to end that from day one.
Ladies, anything to add to this?
Yes, I want to say that I'm really touched by the family, by the loss of this young man. I'm really, really saddened, and I send my sympathy and my condolences to the family in East End also. I know of that family. I know the family well, and I'm sending my condolences on the radio on right now, asking, and I'm asking God to cover them during this difficult time and comfort them, and sending my prayers also to that family. But I want to also stress that I had someone from the constituency, Georgetown Central. I had a meeting with them on Friday, and the lady came in asking me to see if I could assist her with her son, put him in a program. Her son has been suffering with mental illness for over 10 years, and she said that you should just go and check himself into the police station when he do something wrong and admit to his wrong. And she said that she cannot sleep. She's herself is on medication, stressing over her children. And she lost one son from a tragedy of a gunshot at a nightclub. I think it was over 10 years or 15 years ago. And this other son is her younger son. She is afraid and scared that she also lose this son. And she said that he suffer from mental illness and he's on medication. When he do not take that medication, or when he take it with ganja and alcohol, it makes him, it turns him into a different person. And she's afraid for him. She wants to get help for him, and she asks what facilities we have that we could admit him and he could be there to get the treatment and assistance that he needs.
Yeah, and another thing.
This is really bad when people got to come and ask, and we don't have the proper facilities and the resources readily available out there for our Caymanian children. He's a young Caymanian.
We got less than a minute.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, this is where we've systemically failed our people. For instance, as Michael says, mental health has been on the rise since 30 years ago. We've talked about it for 30 years. They've just recently finished a mental health facility that doesn't adequately cover the needs of the people of the Cayman Islands. We don't have a youth arm in this mental facility. We don't have ones for people that end up being convicted in court and then are clearly related to mental health. I mean, Ramsey has said it herself. She doesn't have a place where she can send criminals that are clearly mental health related. This is where we do Band-Aid fixes. We don't think about things properly. Governments have known it for years. These are problems that we've had for 30 years, but we have never, and even when we do put a solution in place, it isn't an adequately thought out solution, that it doesn't even fully address the problem. We're already short of spaces and bed for mental health. I say this to say this very simply. We've got to start electing people that actually care about people, and that is the Cayman Islands National Party.
Yes.
It's 1 o'clock. Time for the news.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Phillip Ebanks. In celebration of Emancipation Day 2025, themed Unity, Strengthening Our Legacy, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage has announced a series of events running from the 2nd to the 11th of May across Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac. Highlights include 345 Day on the 2nd of May, where the public is encouraged to wear national colors, followed by Junior Batabanu Carnival on the 3rd and an opening church service in Bordentown on the 4th. The official public holiday on May the 5th will feature the opening of the Emancipation Center, cultural activities, and fireworks. Events continue with a speaker series at the Harkwell Theatre featuring the Link Up podcast on the 8th of May, and celebrations conclude in Cayman Brac with a commemoration event on the 10th of May and a closing church service on the 11th. Full details are available at the ministry's Instagram page at MYSCH_Cayman. In regional news, Fitz Bailey, a retired Jamaican police officer, has been appointed as the new police chief in the Turks and Caicos Islands for a 3-year term, announced by the governor's office on Thursday. Bailey joined the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force in October 2024 as deputy commissioner and became acting commissioner on the 21st of November. He retired from Jamaica's police force last year after a 40-year career in key units, including the Criminal Investigation Branch and Counter-Terrorism. Bailey described his role as part of a broader mission to enhance regional public safety. In other regional news, the 105-day state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago ended at midnight on Sunday. Police confirmed that the threat prompting its implementation in December 2024 has been averted, with 39 detainees released before its conclusion. Acting Police Commissioner Junior Benjamin acknowledged lingering security concerns, but credited strategies during the state of emergency for preventing gang activity. National Security Minister Marvin Gonzalez highlighted ongoing collaboration between law enforcement agencies to maintain order as crime stats, including murders, have significantly declined. The state of emergency saw 20 arrests via preventative orders, nearly 200 firearm seizures, and reductions in serious crimes between 30 and 40%. Authorities remain vigilant, planning targeted operations against gangs to sustain public safety. That is your latest headlines. I'm Phillip Ebanks.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. In late 1945, Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts and his brothers formed Tibbett Brothers to build a cargo ship for trading in the Caribbean, which they named TB Radar, launched on August 20th, 1946. Keith supervised the construction, which was the first ship launched on Cayman Brac with the engine already installed. Keith also supervised the building of a second ship the following year, the MV Sonar, which launched on September 9th, 1947. After operating the ships for a few years, the brothers sold them both. Years later, he built and launched the MV Trial on 3rd January 1967. In 1951, he joined the Trinidad Shipping Company for a year and a half before coming back to Cayman Brac in 1952 to join the ranks of Caymanians who were shipping out to global ports with national bulk carriers, even though, unlike most of his fellow seamen, he spent merely a year on the ocean before turning his sights towards the promised land on shore. One of his personally created catboats was on display in the Kensington Museum in London for many years, a shining example of his pride of craftsmanship and excellence. This was part 4 of his special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbets.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and in the studio with me right now are 3 National Party candidates, Don Thomas, Carmen McField, and Michael Myles. We do have a WhatsApp message here that I'd like to read. It's kind of long, so let me see if I can condense it down. They're saying, what are your solutions to some of the things that you've been talking to? How can you claw back the mega contracted concessions? False promises. How will you be fixing mass illiteracy in failing schools and slave wages? How? Businesses will not let you without a fight. Will you cancel the contracted workers in government as a start? Health insurance that doesn't cover 90% of the illnesses. They want to hear some solutions.
Sure.
Well, legislation needs to be done, Charlo, and I thank the caller for that, right? So, let's start with things like illiteracy, right? A lot of that has to come from now us actually funding our early childhood centers. If they're not funded properly, our children transition from an early childhood center into our primary schools and they're already behind. Once they're behind, it's harder to catch them up because we don't retain any of our young people. So they consistently are behind. By the time they get to John Gray or Clifton Hunter, then they're very well behind because they go from a very small little village of a primary school into a very large city as our very large high schools. We need to fix that. But the only way to fix that is we have to start to look at how we reallocate funds that are wasted, right? So that's one of the ways of the Cayman's National Party is going to fix this. We have to start to fund our early childhood centers. Those are easy fixes for us. When it comes to things like trying to or establishing a living wage, I'm not here for anyone to like. I'm here to actually get the job done. None of my colleagues here are here for us to like that the private sector. I'm not here to get reelected, right? My job is to make sure that Caymanians are benefiting. So therefore, what consistently stops politicians from doing the right thing, they want to get reelected. Whereas I don't really care about getting reelected. Our responsibility is to represent the Cayman people. So we have to go back to Parliament and we have to pass legislation to make this right. For health insurance, for cost of living, we have to make sure that health insurance companies are paying their part. We have to make sure that banks are paying their part. Like, we have never sat down and looked at, the cost of living that banks are creating for us. As they're the ones that are making 20-25% in terms of all of their income after the year. When you look at the millions of dollars that they're making off of our people, and that money is being shipped out to other countries, it's insane. So why aren't we legislating some of this, right? So the caller also alluded, to things like labor. Why would we allow labor to come in at such cheap rates when we know that we have young people graduating every year at 300 or 400? We also give out over $25 million in scholarships every year, and yet our youngsters are coming back from UCCI or ICCI or from overseas, and they're being told that there's no jobs for them. All of that comes down, sir, to legislation.
Yeah.
And that doesn't cost us a dime, right? There's no money that's attached to that.
No.
It's about actually putting a plan in place, going to Parliament and saying, this is not going to happen anymore. Sorry, Mr. Bank, I appreciate your business, but you're obviously not leaving this country because you make $1 trillion a year. So at the end of the day, you're going to pay your part for infrastructure, education, and everything else that we feel that you need to pay. You think any of these organizations are going to leave? If they were going to leave, they would have left already, right? They're making a boatload of money in our country, and then we're turning around and giving them concessions. Look at what we are doing in terms of concessions with major developers in our country. And yet a condo, they're turning around and selling a condo for $30 million, and we're giving them $10, $15, $20 million in concessions. None of that is anything about working hard. It's about going to Parliament and putting in legislation that no other government after us can come in and give concessions if it doesn't impact the Cayman Islands people. And if we go into it like that, I do not care if I'm re-elected. What I care about is getting the job done. All of us are in the same boat with this. What we have had is successive governments who have come into business to do the government's business, to represent our people. They've made a lot of promises on key issues, right? So these aren't just issues that we've talked about, key issues. We've got our people excited. Our people have voted and they have been duped. And then afterwards, they build a building and they feel that because they can walk around and hand out some Hurley's gift cards and some Foster's gift cards that we should be okay. We are putting in legislation to ensure that this never happens again to our people, and that's how we're going to move forward.
Anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think Michael's right. It's very, very simple. There's been literally no action. I get the knock on my door every 4 years. I get the promises every 4 years like everyone else. And all that's led to is mistrust in government. So having a team like Cayman Islands National Party step forward now, trying to build the trust of the people and say that we're different. It's not because we're wearing a different color purple. It's because we are different. And here is where it starts. Simple things. The Labor Relations Bill of 2015 is still out for consultation. We're in 2025. It needs updating in this day and age. It's 10 years late. But these are simple legislations that would have went in to protect our Caymanians in a job workforce. Simple things. Unemployment. Minimum wage, we've talked about it for years. Health, we've talked about it. Mental health, we've talked about it for years. There have been systemic failures from the previous governments to actually tackle any of the issues that address our people. All we seem to see, which is why there seems to be, is the buildings going up and nice places to go. But at the end of the day, our people can't afford to go there. They have to decide between, we're not actually tackling the social issues, the things that bring our people with us. We deserve better. We expect better. And it's time that we start doing better. It's not about how. The how is action. We have been missing action. That is plain and simple. We've had a number of reports. We've had a lot of meetings. And they walk out of the room saying, yeah, we discussed it today, and give themselves a pat on the back. A pat on the back for what? Because you took the time to sit and discuss it, or you passed the buck off to a committee to come up with a report, or you paid one of the big companies to draft your report from whichever company. They haven't actually done anything. They haven't actually taken the hard decisions. It is simple. Their inability to take hard decisions is what has led Cayman to where it is now. But all they do is they fluff it up in a fancy pamphlet every 4 years, and they regurgitate it back to us. And I'm tired of that, and that is what we're here to change. The Cayman Islands National Party will take action. We will make the hard decisions, because at the end of the day, our people must come first.
Ms. McField, would you like to continue on that? Or?
Wow, we said a mouthful, but yeah, of course. I would say that we pay our politicians over $3 billion a year in salary. And what do our people get in return? That's the question I want to ask.
And yet they're giving themselves raises.
And they're giving yourself a
$3 billion our people can't come off a $6 minimum wage.
That's a lot. Along with giving away, as Michael alluded to, we're giving away, people will come. So whether you feel like, if I don't give it, you know what, that's going to upset them and they won't come back. We're not trying to make ourselves career politicians, asking for 4 more years or asking for 8 more years. Give me 8 years for what? We need to make sure we take care of our people, and if we're going to ask for something, make sure you give back and do something to ask for something in return. Our people deserve that. We are Caymanians. We all Caymanians in this together. We need to start looking out for each other and take care of our people, not leave them dangling out there like apple on a little limb, and feel that they always the old people would say that they're basically waiting for you to just come and love them, and waiting for you. Where the old people would say, there was a saying that my grandmother used to say, you're beholden to somebody.
I've heard the word concession pop up a lot during this election season. Do you think we need concessions anymore? I mean, concessions are usually there to encourage.
No, we do not.
We don't need to encourage business.
Not.
Business is going to come either way.
It's coming either way.
It's coming fast and furious. The business is here.
We don't need.
They're not going to stop doing business in this island and not come here, because Cayman has been good to many. This is a dime to some people, to a comparison to other places in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just want to just clarify as well. I mean, Carmen alluded to the increases of many or all elected leaders. It's certainly not in the billions, but they've given themselves millions of dollars in increases, right? It's not in the billions, but it's definitely in the millions of dollars of increases. We have seen where that has gone beyond, just salary increases for, as Dawn said, for doing a crap job. In addition to that, we've purchased all of our elected leaders, in particular our ministers. Everybody gets a new Tahoe, right?
For what?
All of these are things that we have seen that is wasteful spending. I was over in the BRAC supporting my two colleagues over there, and I have seen at least 3 or 4 projects over there that are half finished. We started these projects and millions of dollars are sitting there either empty or not being used, and ultimately the Cayman Islands people are paying for this stuff. So where's the money coming from? Because we're constantly asked, well, how are you guys going to pay for all of this stuff? The money is actually in the budget. We're reallocating funds to it that it impacts our Caymanian people.
Do we have a break here? Do we have a break? Okay. All right. No break. So we're going all the way down to 1:30. Okay. Let me give you a chance. You wanted to?
No. You go right ahead.
I want to give you a chance to speak directly to the people who are going to be voting for you. But what issues will you be addressing in each of your constituencies that you're running for?
I think I'll start. I think one of the things that has surprised me the most, because in the Red Bay area, is the amount of unemployment in Red Bay. And I would fear to say that that 5% that's reported nationally is incorrect. I think I was shocked by walking in the day. We're not talking about people that are retired, that are home, that may be seeking a part-time job now that they're retired and kids are at school. We're talking about people literally unemployed. I think that's been a shocking number, and it's something that I'm hoping to address right away. I'm going to develop a Red Bay specific unemployment register. I want to know the people in my community that are looking work, who they are, what their skills are, because every day I'm going to be working to make sure that they're getting back to meaningful work. Because in all honesty, they're not looking for handouts. They don't want to be going to NAU, but they want the opportunity, and they're looking for a hand up, and I am there to facilitate that. The other things that I've seen in Red Bay is predominantly the seniors in our community. We need to find better ways to facilitate them getting to the doctor. Simple things, grocery stores, simple house maintenance. And that's something we can come together as a community and do, or it's something that we can definitely look at for our seniors. So I'm going to be focusing, I'm going to give my other teammates an opportunity, but definitely job opportunities and in unemployment, and looking at the seniors. All the other stuff that's there, we can tackle, speed bumps, speeding, cameras, CCTV, security. Those are all things, but definitely unemployment and seniors.
Yes, and I want to correct.
In a nutshell, so we can get some final points.
Okay, great. I want to correct what I said earlier. I might have make it come out say millions, 3 million over in overspending, but I want to say that CINP will invest in our people and not concrete buildings. We would put our people first, Caymanian people. I have a large number of Georgetown Central persons who asking about housing. talk about cost of living and also unemployment. They're unemployed, and the young people in our community is saying they can't find work. Or when the work comes, it's only the nice cleanup project that comes twice a year, Christmas and some other time in the middle of the year that they do cleanups. That's not good enough for the people. They want benefits and they want a real work, and they're asking for jobs. So our seniors, I work a lot with our seniors. We do have a lot of seniors still in Georgetown Central, and our seniors need proper senior facility where they could go on a weekly basis and enjoy and feel like they're still part of society and they're being taken care of and they're being heard. And in addition to that, a bus, a transportation, same thing that Dawn mentioned that we talked about on the party level, that we want to make sure we got transportation, and this is the entire Georgetown, which is whether it's Prospect, Red Bay or Central, the entire Georgetown. If we get one bus, that could cater to the entire Georgetown or a little bit outside of Georgetown to make sure that our seniors are taken care of and our young people.
Mr. Myles, what do you say to the people of Prospect?
You know, 4 years ago, one of the things that our party did very different than just rushing out there with a manifesto is we did a survey. So I walked to every house in Prospect, really encouraging people to fill out the survey because we wanted to know what at least the three more urgent challenges were for them in their households. And over 350 people in Prospect completed that survey. And the biggest issue that came out of that survey, one of the number one issues were I don't have access to my MP. 4 years ago, I ran on implementing a district council. I've built teams all my adult life. I've played football on teams all of my adult life as well, and certainly into my childhood. So I know what it's like to be part of a phenomenal functioning team. A district council gives us a fighting chance to service our entire communities. No one person is going to service an entire community. Prospect is over 1,400 people now, and it's a major landmass. So trying to walk Prospect every week or at least once a month is impossible to reach everyone. But you are going to know, Chalo, who's actually hurting in our constituency. You know, someone else is going to know the little old lady that probably needs groceries or maybe a checkup down the road or maybe, as Carmen said, a ride to the hospital or maybe just to pick up some groceries. We have to get people back involved in the democracy of our country. So district council is first and foremost for me, and everyone that I've met with, and I've met with over 1,000 people in Prospect now, has bought into that because they have seen in the last 8 years with successive MPs, they haven't serviced anyone there. They really just stayed in their own little sort of holes, and they really only service the people that walk in their door. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't need an office to service folks. We need to be able to get out there. Flooding is also a major thing in Prospect. Every single year we have talked about flooding in many different constituencies. Prospect feels it the most because Prospect is built on a floodplain. It's built on swampland, right? So everybody is feeling that as well, and we need to solve the problem. We can't talk about it anymore. We need to find solutions for it. And certainly getting NRA, Public Works, part of this process to actually give us solutions on how we solve that, because people's houses are being devalued based on that now. And of course, the cost of living. The cost of living impacts everyone, but the cost of living is made up of several things. Food, health insurance, car insurance, and all of the other things that go along with that. How do we help people reduce those things in their lives? Dawn alluded to, things like helping people understand what incomes they have. Because what's happening now, people are being duped. They're being duped into thinking that the government is always going to provide. And unfortunately, the government's tapped out. We now have major deficits coming through in 2025. We have major deficits coming through in 2026. We have over 500 million plus in counting in debt. So we have to now start to look at our $1 billion of monies that we have, that we make every year, and how do we use that to help our people. So our cost of living have to be focused on, and we have to start to look at holding banks accountable for that. As Carmen alluded to, things like housing, right? We cannot have banks continue to reject our people, even those that are making a phenomenal living, our banks are telling these folks no. So how do we get our Cayman Islands Development Bank involved? How do we make sure that we're funding that so our people could get mortgages, whether that's a 15 or 30-year mortgage, at a decent rate? All of these things were going in. Immigration is also another one, Charles, for our organization, but also people in Prospect are very concerned about that because my constituency and Dawn constituencies have a growing unemployment population of young people. So we are now having more crime in our areas because Prospect and Red Bay are middle class. So there's now a lot of property crime that's going on in those particular areas. We have to be able to get young people back to work, and that has to come down to developing trade training. And trade training doesn't mean you're just teaching them how to be a automotive technician, but nursing is a trade, right? An accountant could be a trade as well, right? A lot of these things, a lot of the employers in our country really want Caymanians. I work with a lot of employers every single day, but they want Caymanians, in particular young Caymanian, young people that are going to come in, they're going to be showing up for work every day, they're going to be focusing, improving their businesses, and they're not going to be people that they have to worry about that's not going to show up 2 weeks after they get a paycheck. So we have a plan, Charlo. I will tell you this, from immigration to unemployment to flooding to things like, our district councils. We have a plan, and I want our people to know that those plans are going to be executed and people are going to be held accountable, and we need to move forward.
Okay, we got about 3 minutes. So let's take that 3 minutes, share it up. Anything that we haven't covered that you definitely want to make people know about?
I think one of the things that the one thing that's come from us today is that there's a lot of problems to be solved, and all those problems are interconnected. We can't solve anything on its own. We know that government on its own has ran us into not only debt. Debt is one thing. That's a loan that you have to pay off. As long as you've got an income, you can pay your debt. And that is something that's controllable. But my point is this, is that it's all doable, but you need a team of people that are working together to solve the problems. And solve the problems holistically, because you can't put any more Band-Aid fixes. Our people can't take much more. They're at the brink. And I think if there's anything here, the National Party, as everyone's saying today, and I have a plan. I have a community plan. I'm happy to sit down with anyone in the Red Bay community and go through all of my initiatives and the timelines that I've set for each of those initiatives. Please call me to go through them, 9250998. And the National Party on a level has a national plan that we intend to implement to address housing, cost of living, insurance, a number of factors that we've discussed today. And the most important thing is we will take that action. And that is what I want to leave the table with today, saying we are a team of action-oriented people. We're change agents, and we're going in to make a change.
For the last 3 months, we have talked about a lot of this. We have shared what we are going to do. Our manifesto should be hitting, this week, and we're going to be sharing that certainly with all of our communities. But what I want to say to Caymanians, I know the frustrations. I hear it every day. We cannot change this without you. We have to get you out to vote. I know the frustrations. I know people hesitation. I know you think that, nothing is going to change. I can only promise you that it will change. So I'm going to encourage you to get out to vote. We also have mobile voting coming up. If you are a person who need to sign up for mobile voting, can you please contact me, please, so I can get you signed up for that? And these are people who are really, that are struggling with disabilities, that are a bit more immobile, that cannot get out. Please call me at 939-1301 so I can get the forms to you and turn it in on your behalf. We now have to get as many people out to vote. 4 years ago, there were over 1,300 people in Prospect that were registered. Only 900 plus came out to vote. We had over 350 people that did not vote. I need to get as many people out, and that's looking at 1,400 votes that we need to get out.
Mr. Thomas, you got about 30 seconds.
Carmen McField.
What? Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm just saying to my Georgetown constituency, there's hope. There is hope. I want you to believe that there will be change. The Cayman Islands National Party is that change. With the grace of God, believe that there will be change. I ask you all, if you're not intending to vote, please come out and vote. Give me a chance. You know what you had in the last 8 years. 12 years, and if it didn't work for you, change it. And I ask you to come out and make that change. A change starts with you, the individual. Make sure that the change is with you and it's for your children and grandchildren. Thank you.
I've been talking to Don Thomas, Carmen McField, and Michael Myles, National Party candidates. Thank you for being here. More politics coming up after this.
The preceding was a paid political broadcast.
Subway and Oreo has changed the dessert game. Introducing the Oreo footlong cookie, a full 12 inches of chocolatey, creamy goodness. It's big, it's bold, and it's here for a limited time. Perfect for sharing or not. We won't judge. Want it fast? Order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app for quick pickup and earn loyalty points. Or get it delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Don't wait. Treat yourself today. The Oreo footlong cookie is calling your name. Subway. Eat fresh. Snack sweet.
Hi, this is Craig Vesta Frederick. Join me, your PPM candidate for Georgetown South, along with Roy McTaggart for Georgetown East, this Monday, April 14th at 7 p.m. South Sound Dock. Come out to hear the issues that matter to you. Let's keep moving forward with the PPM.
We're moving forward, baby. We're moving forward. We're moving forward. See the light again.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore is back. Hop over to the Bayshore Mall on Saturday, April 19th from 4 to 6 p.m. for an extra special Easter celebration. Meet the Easter Bunny, enjoy sweet treats, and join the fun with the scavenger hunt, chocolate prizes, plus face painting, games, and more. And the best part? It's all free, including free parking behind the Bayshore Mall. Visit KirkFreeport.com for details. Happy Easter from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
I was undercover and had just recovered the stolen artwork, but...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with managing my insurance?
Well, long story long. I found the art thief in France, but ended up becoming somewhat of a local celebrity. So I had to stick around for a while. But I was able to handle all my insurance needs with CG's online portal.
The online portal. Safe, convenient, simple. CG Britgay. Good like that.
The following is a paid political broadcast. The views, information, or opinions expressed in this forum are solely those of the participants of this event and do not represent the views of the management and staff of Radio Cayman.
Welcome back to Talk Today, and we're going to continue with more politics. Right now in the studio, I was expecting Red Bay Independent candidate Phillip Ebanks, who is here, but guess what? He brought along a surprise guest.
Yes, that's
None other than West Bay South candidate Dwayne Sterling Ebanks.
Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. I guess you're familiar in these studios. So
kind of looks familiar. Yes.
Well, gentlemen, good afternoon. What made you all decide to make this move? There's, 3 parties out there.
Yes,
You
Chalo.
could have gone and probably joined one of them. What made you decide to
Chalo,
jump
maybe
into
I
this
can
as an
I can start
independent?
off and kick it off. But first of all, I'd like just to first of all say to the good people of Red Bay, good evening, and to the people of Cayman, good evening. It's a real pleasure to be in this, to have this opportunity to be on the campaign trail at this point, and to be able to offer my services and my blend of services to the good people of Red Bay and the good people of Cayman. As to the question, obviously, we've seen the last 4 years and the result of really poor governance overall, in which the population has basically been saying, hey, we need change. Before that, we have another 20 years or so in which much of the same issues that are being put forward today, such as immigration, work permits, opportunities, and even education, have been on the table, and we see that those issues are still being, punted down the street. We see the issue with the landfill. That's another issue that keeps being punted down the street. So it's time for those who are in a position, such as myself, I feel, to step up to the plate to ensure that I offer my brand of service. And for those of you who know me, they know that I've spent the last 20 years as an attorney at law. And before that, I spent 20 years in public service, 18 or 19 years or thereabouts in the police department. So if you don't know me personally, you probably will know of someone who knows me, and they'll know that I am a straight talker. I go about trying to ensure that I do exactly what I'm said I'm going to do, and if for some reason that doesn't work out, I'll be the person to come back to you and say that, give good reason for why we haven't been able to accomplish something. But many of these reasons, these decisions, these things that we have on the agenda right now have been on the agenda for a very long time. And I'm confident that once elected, we'll be able to put these things right.
Sterling, why did you decide to go as an independent?
Chalo, first, thanks for the opportunity, and if you would allow me to say, you're doing a sterling job. Thank you very much. You, as many know, come to this, very experienced and having always been in the media. And many of us who look and see perhaps another opportunity for Caymanians to see opportunities beyond what may have been instructed by home and school as financial services or, other areas. And I would like to commend all of the CIFX students who have the opportunity for media studies to intern at Really Cayman. It's a fantastic place to get to be on talk today. And I want to also thank Phil and his committee for reaching out and inviting me to sit today. It's important for the country. I'll round it off to almost 60 candidates over 19 electoral constituencies. So we have a lot to ground to cover. The voters need every opportunity to get us informed about the candidate individually and what the candidate and our parties are selling. For those of us who have opted to be independent, it simply as an opportunity to be judged, because that's what's happening. We've been adjudicated on who we are, our character, what we bring to the table. This indication signifies only one thing: a willingness to recognize that there are going to be 19 people elected. God's willing will be 2 of them. There'll be 17 others. One of us may say there'll be 18 others. But whoever is elected must be willing to put aside petty personal differences, party affiliations, and work for the good and the betterment of Cayman and its people. For me, the issue of mental health is, like many of us, ever foremost in our minds, with the heaviest of hearts and the sincerest of condolences. Again, over the weekend, we recognize how it affects and impacts our community. So to that family and to the extended community, we keep you in our prayers. It is why Dr. Alexandra Borden and myself, for over a decade, facilitated the Mental Health Matters show, to bring that discussion so that the stigma, hopefully, is increasingly being eroded, but also all of us who believe that we have it put together, we got it. You get help
by talking to a trained, confidential, competent individual. You just want to talk about what life is like. You may have something that is so pressing on you. Our young people are being stressed is not the word. Okay? If you have not been to the ER with a young person who has exhibited certain acts, thank God for those of us who have. Understand that that's not one and done. That was probably not the first time that they may have attempted. This is genuinely a clarion call for this community to understand that there is a mental health crisis. To have so many people talk about it, and that's all they do. There's little or no empathy. It is sobering to see that we're willing to do that. But we cannot go and have another young person who we stand over their graves. I love this country. I love its people. I get passionate. I may get inflamed. But if you don't stand with us together, each and every one of us, you're either a part of the problem or you're offering yourself as a genuine attempt to be a part of the contributions and making it better to find solutions. All the money in the world, it is said, I subscribe to it, how should it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Whatever your religious or spiritual affiliation, money can't buy happiness, it can't fill a void, it cannot bring back a life.
Well, let's move to something that touches directly young people, education and job opportunities. Philip, I'll have to call you all by your first name.
Yeah, sure. Philip can't call us Ebanks, that's for sure.
There you go, sir. Mr. of fathers.
Thank you very much, Chalo.
Education and job opportunities, that's directly involving young people.
That's correct. You're right. And in many ways, most of the topics that we have are sort of interlaced with each other. They all come back to issues effectively of welfare, of how the Cayman population and how its welfare issues are being put forward, whether it's the welfare opportunity of having a reasonable education or having a reasonable job to take care of your family. Clearly, education has been at the top of a lot of people's minds recently. We see that certain concerns have been expressed that 70% of the children who leave primary school, public primary school, going into high school, are not reading to standard. That's very disconcerting. We also see that on another statistical level, we see things like, for example, teachers are teaching less in the classroom. It seems that there's below 50% of the teaching is actually they're doing more administrative tasks. And when we measure that against the fact of where we are in terms of technology is moving forward at a blistering pace. You know, AI, artificial intelligence is there in almost all the fields, and we see that, you know, shift in geopolitics. This is not a time to be left behind in terms of education, and I would be pressing obviously to look in more detail at what needs to be done to improve education. We have a lot of expertise here. There's a lot of we don't need to go off and have a far-flung study on this thing. There's a lot of local expertise that we can bring to bear on it. What is clear is that the systems are failing, that we have are failing, and we need to therefore, in my view, move forward to figure the next step forward. One of those options would be to look at, for example, charter schools.
Explain what that is.
Charter school basically would be a school in which the governance is done by a governing body for the school itself instead of a central, right now education department kind of runs all the public schools. But by bringing this thing under direct,
it would be sanctioned by the government.
Yes, it would be sanctioned by the government, but you would have a board that is fit for specific purpose of that particular school to look at what's happening in the school, make sure that the teachers they make the best efforts to get the right teachers in that school system and the right additional access to additional services, etc. But what it does do is that it takes it, when you look at government and how it looks upon the school system, they can say, well, 3 out of 5 are okay, and another 2 of them are below standard. Red Bay, for example, is not to the good standard, so it is a standard below good, and therefore it would be a very good school, I think, to look at in terms of a charter school. I want to say this though, Chalo, these are not decisions to be made without the parents, and what I would be encouraging is for parents to reach out, and if anyone out there wants to have a chat with me or to send me a message, I'd be happy to talk to them. My WhatsApp is 324-9886. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about charter schools and education in general, so that we can move forward. And then, of course, on the opportunities.
I just need to stick a pin right there because we need to take a break. We'll be right back.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Hi, this is Craig Vesta Frederick. Join me, your PPM candidate for Georgetown South, along with Roy McTaggart for Georgetown East, this Monday, April 14th at 7 p.m. South Sound Dock. Come out to hear the issues that matter to you. Let's keep moving forward with the PPM.
We're moving forward, we're moving forward, we're moving forward, see the light again.
Freedom, Cayman Brac. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The Economics and Statistics Office is currently conducting the annual business surveys until June 13th. The surveys collect information to answer questions like, how did the economy perform in 2024? In 2024, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling out the forms, or for more information, visit eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Cayman's cruise industry can thrive without a pier. Instead of handing cruise lines more power, we should focus on better visitor experiences, fairer deals for local businesses, and smarter tourism investments. Many destinations are standing up for their local economies. So can we. Let's strengthen our cruise industry without giving up control. Vote no on April 30th.
Let's invest in what works. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. I'm talking with Red Bay Independent candidate Phillip Ebanks and West Bay South Independent candidate Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Sterling effort there, sir.
The Ebanks show today.
Yes, as it should be. Yes.
Well, let's continue our discussion here. You would like to add on to what Phillip was saying?
Yeah, and this is why I'm grateful for this opportunity, because I think what is absolutely necessary, as Phillip was sharing, is that as elected parliamentarians, we are the tip of the spear. We sit in helping to formulate policy through either proposed and passed or amended legislation. We impact the lives of all. We need to appreciate the trust that's put in us by the voters to be there on the job, doing the job. But we also need to earn and keep the trust of our fellow MPs, whether it's reach the ability to reach across the part of the aisle and come to some consensus that moves Cayman forward in a positive direction, or whether it is your caucus and our cabinet colleagues, so that in your discussion, you're coming to consensus as to what is best for the country. The geopolitical landscape that Phillip referenced. It is one thing to listen to the media and whatever the pundits and the political talking heads might posit. We need to appreciate the importance of that impact on us. The Barbadian Prime Minister, Ms. Motley's recent sort of call to action for the Caribbean to unity is something that needs to be heeded, but very evident in her signaling to the U.S. president is, Big Brother, don't beat us. We are your cousins. We are here. We need to stand unified, but we need to start by doing so in Cayman. The problems exist. If they're not acknowledged, they cannot be addressed. We all seem to know the problems, from education to immigration to healthcare to housing to cost of living. But are we willing to put forward solutions? And all of those problems, all of the issues come down to one single thing: the quality of life of each of us. The safety, the security of us as individuals, the political, economic, and social stability that is in our society, the perception of the region and the UK as the administering territory. No matter where we may think we are, we're still a country that is subjected to the UK's overarching views and legislative might. We need to demonstrate the political acumen, maturity, but very much like a child, we need to demonstrate that we are ready to take on more responsibility. This next iteration of the next 19 who will be elected on the April the 30th need to bring to the table a few skill sets. Humility. They need to have the obvious ones, integrity and ability, but they need to also bring a sense of honesty and trustworthiness, so that when they're talking amongst themselves, the existing financial landscape that we're in, to hear incumbents talk about it wasn't me when they were there as part of what transpired, to signal that the UK, right, and I'm very thankful that Her Excellency said, we're not there. That's not where we're at yet. It is possible, but that will be staved off with a genuine consensus amongst the 19 elected, with a semblance of a healthy respect for the UK's authority and ability to intervene, but a sobering reality that the expenditure, as the Auditor General indicated, almost $1 billion of what we know, with little and nothing to be shown. I'd speak specifically, I thank Phillip for the invitation, in West Bay South. One or two of the roads paved, a couple of speed bumps. Really? I mean, what do we have? Docks that are still not there, docks in the Morgan's Harbour area that were not just vital to the livelihoods of the fishermen and the like, but for relaxation and enjoyment for a wider community, not just West Bay South. So we need to start to think as a country, unified as one, that whatever we do, we're doing it for today with understanding that it impacts tomorrow. That quality of life that we all seek, we deserve it. Our parents made the sacrifice. We are continuing that investment, and it can only be realized if we have the discipline, the determination, that resilience and resolve that is within the Cayman acumen. And I thank Phillip for this chance to help to indicate that collectively we can make a meaningful impact to this country in a very positive way, in a very timely way.
And Phillip, what are your views on dealing with crime in Cayman?
Well, you raise a very important point. At this juncture, clearly, there is a broad public perception that things are not going as well as people would like them to go. There is a perception that we're less safe, and I think that when you hear the news, it does give off that. And we certainly, when we look at the news and we look at the things and the statistics of what we're dealing with now compared to what we were dealing with, even 4 or 5 years ago, I think that we see that there's that increasing erosion in public trust in terms of the idea of what we require in terms of safety and security. It is obviously an important part for us to consider and to look at the way that our police services are delivered. That is obviously, for the most part, directly under the Commissioner of Police. He makes the decisions as to where people go.
You have a police background.
But I have a police background, and one of the things that obviously I've observed is that we don't make near enough of technology to ensure that we are able to then release more officers into the street, into visible positions where they can detect and deter crime. And strategic use of cameras, and in particular speed cameras, I think will go a long way in adding towards that opportunity for the commissioner to be able to take some of the manpower which is now out there doing sort of traffic type stuff, and to enable him to then use that and redeploy those officers towards perhaps more other areas where he could use more detection and deterrence. Speed cameras, for example, we did a calculation, an estimate that with 5,000 speeding tickets that are done each year, it comes up to about roughly $1 million worth of revenue. But it seems that the cost to actually administer that system and collect, including the courts and so on and so forth, is closer to $2 million. So effectively, and of course, speed cameras are 24 hours per day on the, they're always there. Once you have the initial outlay, they're there 24 hours a day. And I believe that speed cameras will do two things for us. And most importantly, the first thing is that I think it will really save lives. We always look at, drunken driving and other facets of traffic law control. And clearly those are important areas. I wouldn't dismiss those. But speed is what kills. And if we can control speed, then we'll really see a difference in fatal accidents in this island. And we'll also, within the framework of delivering that kind of a system, allow the commissioner to then be able to redeploy officers into another, other areas that he needs. So we must find the resources for speed cameras and strategically placed cameras. Strategically placed cameras is something that I've actually voiced for quite a long time, and recently I have it in my brochure for deployment in areas of Red Bay, where people are concerned about safety. And I think that this is going to be one of those things that's going to make them feel a lot safer, along with the other measures that I'm going to press for up there, including, in particular, making sure that we have a constituency office in that area.
I have to break in on you because we got a break for the news. It's 2:00. Let's go to the newsroom.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Phillip Ebanks. The Cayman Ministers Association wishes to invite everyone to their National Day of Prayer, which will take place on Tuesday, April the 15th on the grounds of the Glass House from 12 noon to 12:50. They will be praying for the upcoming general elections, the government, the civil service, and the Cayman Islands as a whole, and look forward to you in attendance. In regional news, in St. Kitts, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew is pursuing legal action seeking EC $50,000 in damages over an article he claims contains grave and false allegations. A pre-action protocol letter issued on the 7th of April demands that Annette Frank retract the publication, apologize publicly, and avoid republishing defamatory claims. Drew views the allegations as malicious and damaging to his reputation, taking the matter seriously. His office emphasizes support for free expression but condemns misinformation that harms integrity. Failure to respond within 10 days could lead to defamation proceedings. The publication's specifics remain undisclosed. In regional news, the Grenada government has signed a landmark air service agreement with Saudi Arabia to strengthen diplomatic ties. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell signed the deal in Doha, Qatar, establishing a framework for international air transport services. The agreement promotes connectivity, tourism, trade, investment, while addressing safety, security, and operational concerns. Grenada views the agreement as a step towards diversifying partnerships, fostering economic growth, and positioning itself as a key destination for Saudi travelers. That is your latest headlines. I'm Phillip Ebanks.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. In the studio with me right now is Red Bay Independent candidate Phillip Ebanks and also West Bay South Independent candidate Dwayne Ebanks. And let's continue our discussion here. Let's move to a subject that everybody is talking about. Every time you go to the grocery store, you know, you're kind of afraid what the cash register is going to ring up for you. Cost of living. What do we need to do?
Yeah, well, as you quite rightfully pointed out, cost of living is one of those things that transcends whatever your demographic is or whatever your position is in the country. As we go to the supermarkets, we see it. As we deal with all of the other things like electricity and utilities and insurances, it's all transcending into a higher cost to us. So it has a broad frame. We tend to focus on things like groceries, and of course we import everything. So I have looked at the tariffs, and I think there's very limited that we can do with the tariffs, except that I would say this. I think that we need to look at ensuring that fruits, the healthier foods like fruits and vegetables and so on, that those become tariff-free. And then perhaps on the other end to perhaps maybe add some tariffs where the foods are highly processed and more unhealthy. Because the two things, if you look at the two things, you can't look at food in isolation. I think you need to look at food in conjunction with health and wellness. And if you look at it from that perspective, then these changes to the tariff system will make more sense at the end of the day. If we can feed people in a healthier way, that they can have healthier outcomes, then it should result in a better outcome for in terms of health care and health insurance and so on and so forth. So I believe in looking at the tariff system in that way. I've also looked at the issue of promoting longer term mortgages. And here's an area where I believe that we could make some real inroads if instead of a 25 to 30 year mortgage, which is what we customarily do now, we had sort of 30 to even 50 years in length. In other words, almost like a multi-generational type of mortgage. That would certainly mean that the monthly mortgage sums would come down, and then therefore that would give you a little bit of extra leeway to pay on other things that that you might not have so much control over. So from that perspective, I want to look and press on seeing that we can come up with products for Caymanian owners of homes to ensure that we bring down that monthly cost. Beyond that, I just wanted to say that as we see, one of the major strangling holes that they have, cost has, particularly on the elderly or senior citizens, as I would call them, because we're all kind of getting in that range now, Chalo. But I'm thinking about persons over 65, is to ensure that we ring fence the cost of health care for those persons, either heavily subsidized or perhaps free if they really can't afford it. And the reason why that is so important is that obviously at a stage when most individuals are winding down and their monthly or salary or whatever is coming down, so to speak, because they're going into a different mode, the healthcare costs are going up. And that's a really untenable situation that most people, you hear horror stories of people in their 60s, late 60s saying, my healthcare cost now is $800, $900 a month. And so we've got to do something about that to make sure that we do give that little bit of leeway to the people who have actually served this country, and they're coming towards a point where they're reduced income.
And that's when you need the insurance the most.
That's right. That's when we need it most. The other point that I want to just add to that briefly is that this idea of mandatory retirement at 65, it shouldn't permeate into the reality for people to see it that there's a position where they have to retire at that age. And the reason why I think that we want to make sure that we don't have a position where people are mandatorily retired at 65 is because many people are quite healthy and they want to continue to work. And I think that sometimes, many people in that area just kind of go off and find a side gig, and that's great. But also what you see happening is that many people in their when they reach up in 65, get retired from good government jobs, really. And when you see the replacements are usually people who would otherwise be sort of non-Caymanian work permit holders or in that kind of ilk. We say, this can't make sense. Why are we retiring somebody and subjecting them to in a sense to perhaps a much lower type of living, while we have to perhaps take and find somebody else, even from abroad, to replace them? I say we should let people work as long as they are able and willing to work. And that's my view, and that's what I would press for, because I think, a lot of, retirement pension benefits are like $1,500 a month. Hey, if you can work and earn another $1,500 a month, then you're twice as bad off, just even on a side gig. So I want to make sure that we keep that door open so that we can improve the best quality of life that we can as we get up to that age, and not be forced into a position where we're having to say, hey, I'm not able to make it. I could make it, but I'm not able to make it. And then it translates into, government having to step in. We don't want that. Most people are proud. They want to continue on working. And as long as they feel that way, we should facilitate that process, because that's directly related to the cost of living for them. So that's my view on that, yes.
Sterling, what are your thoughts on cost of living?
It all comes back down to what we talked about, quality of life, right? You take that person who at 60 or 50 or 70 who may want to continue employment. Once they have a sense of purpose, they can maintain their independence. If their opportunity is for them through their personal choice to either stop working for others or pursue something that they wanted to do all along, they've in their minds earned or have gotten to a space where they're willing to take that risk on themselves because they have the financial wherewithal, let them, but don't force them. The cost of living, we can put forward many solutions, but one of the things we need to do is look at the actual costs of the goods and services, so that if we can decrease that to give people more spending power. If your $1 today is needed to buy a good, and the price of that good goes up, you're going to need more than that dollar. But if you could find a way to keep your income as it is, but bring down the cost of the good, not only you have reduced the probability of inflation, you're giving yourself more disposable income, and you can get more bang for your buck, as they say. That has a significant positive knock-on effect. Now, the other thing that we should look very closely at, what I like with Phil's invitation is that we have differences of opinions, but a general consensus as to what we should be doing relative to bettering the country. In Bermuda, they have these generational mortgages. I'm not an ardent proponent of that because it just extends the cost from the parent to the child. We need to make sure that we have a proper mortgage system, not a demand loan system in this country. If we can reduce the cost of housing, not just as access to because of availability, but the affordability because we have the spending power. We have pensions in this country, it's been talked about along, but it's not being invested in the country. A mortgage is a fixed rate over a defined period, whether that's 15 years, 30 years, or 60 years. You know that over that time, this is going to be your payment. You can actually budget, not this fluctuating rate that is tied for some reason that nobody seems to be able to explain, right? And we accept that. That has to be significantly questioned as to where it benefits the Cayman marketplace. The cost of housing is the single most, the largest expenditure any of us would encounter, whether that's the loan payment to the bank or the rental payment to your landlord. Bringing that down to a rate that is affordable, that you can manage because you can budget it, know that it is fixed. If it's a loan that you're paying, then you can find it. But the key is to reduce the actual cost. $1 saved is $1 earned, right? And we keep pushing the cost up because we are expecting the individual who is earning a certain amount of money to now live on that because the costs go up, who rightfully demand, they put in more work, they want more hours, they want more pay. To pay for that increased salary and wage, you have to put the cost of that good or service. Then you got a further demand for an increase for salaries and wages to pay for that increased cost of that good or service. That upward spiral is only going to not only put pressure on your limited income, it's going to become untenable. The suggestion to look at their goods and services and the food stuff to bring it down is a alternative that we need to pursue. having proper mortgages, perhaps cheaper and longer terms, should be options that we consider. The approach here is to bring to the table people who are willing to not only think outside the box, but to partner with the intent that what we do, we're getting as much for our people so that they have, again, an improved quality of life. Whether you are that returning college grad trying to find your way, that high school student on the eve of graduation, or that person that's 60 or 70, maintaining independence, maintaining the opportunities to pursue entrepreneurial endeavors, or you said, I've been working for 40, 50 years, I want to enjoy it a little more. The safety is there, the economic security is there, because the safety nets are there. And like many of us are finally realizing, it's not socialism, it's actually a good conscience. The free health care for our seniors, our elderly, and for our school children. That isn't something that we should be talking about. That should be something that should be already in play.
We have to take a break, but more politics coming up after this.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Hungry? Need Subway any time of the day?
Yeah.
We've got you covered. Subway at Anderson Square, Centennial Towers, and Countryside Shopping Village is open 24/7, serving up fresh, delicious subs anytime you need them. And for your weekend cravings, West Shore Center is also open 24 hours on Friday nights and until 1 a.m. on Saturdays, because it's never too late for a great meal. Skip the line and order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app, or get your favorites delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Fresh, fast, and always here when you need us. Subway, eat fresh.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. But I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Your voice matters. Your vote counts.
If you or someone you know may have difficulty getting to your designated polling locations on general election and referendum day on the 30th of April, you should apply for mobile voting.
You don't have to miss your chance to vote.
If you're in the hospital, a rest home, or are unable to leave your home, if you have a physical disability that makes it difficult to vote in person, or if you'll be working on general election and referendum day and will be unable to get to the polls,
apply for mobile voting. The deadline to apply is the 17th of April. Visit elections.ky or call 949-8047 for more information and assistance. Your vote matters, and the Elections Office wants to make sure it's heard.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. In the studio with me is Red Bay Independent candidate Phillip Ebanks and West Bay South Independent candidate Dwayne Ebanks. Now we're coming down into our about our last 10 minutes or so here. Housing, road congestion, that's always a big topic. What's your thoughts?
Yes, Shallow, and I kind of think of them collectively, because I think that many of the problems that we have with housing is directly related to additional land that needs to be opened up, so that we can get the cost of land down. And obviously, as we look at the map, we see that the West Bay Peninsula, Georgetown, most of that area is now fully, the density is there. So in order to get the sort of to get pricing down, I think that as we look towards the east to west arterial road, there's going to be new lands opened up in that, and within that framework, I would like to see government secure some of that land for future Caymanian homes purposes, and amongst other things, and then obviously it's important that when you think about you're putting in a road, you're opening up the land, and you think of the issues of congestion that we have now, which is that the east, the traffic come from the east, kind of bottlenecks in Red Bay and into town. If you look at it and you ensure that we don't only open roads, but we open communities in that area, it means that many of the services where individuals are now having to come into town for, we could have those services in that area. We could have a courthouse, we could have a high school, we could have government services over there on that section, so that the traffic coming into Georgetown would not necessarily have to be as dense as it is right now. And that's kind of a longer term part of what we should be looking at. In the short term, of course, we also need to look at things like public transport, and in some of the areas where we are talking about fair opportunity traffic lights and so on, in order to make the roads a bit safer. But clearly, housing and traffic and roads and congestion is something that we need to think collectively about, so that we can get the zonings right, we can get the land right, we can get the roads right. And so we're not just going off on one tangent to build a road. We're dealing thoughtfully on how we develop.
What's your thoughts on that?
Again, quality of life. Right? These things all impact our quality of life. The accessibility to housing, the ability to afford quality housing. Let us not put labels on it as that evidence would give us an opportunity to look closely and to avoid the stigma of maligning people of social transition in housing. These fancy terms, right? Affordable housing projects. Caymanians deserve, they desire, and they work hard to own their own properties. Let's give them the chance to do so. Let's look closely at the densities of properties that we have, so that we're not just allowing the would-be developer to come in to build beyond the allocated 10 or 15 or 20 stories that we do. Why not the person who has a property now be able to build on our property if within that buildable footprint, no more than X% site coverage? Why is it that we're going to limit it to a duplex or a fourplex when potentially they could get 6 or 7, right? Parking and drainage and sewage and all that impact. But so too, it seems, for a large-scale commercial project, whether it's a condo, a hotel, or an office building. If we increase the densities, if we allow families to be able to live together, so that extended family living on that property, you get your generational wealth, but you also get connectivity. There are some programs in the States that I looked at many years ago, and I referenced it to our politicians and some of the others, where what it was called the teacher next door or the nurse next door, they would be developer and development. In exchange for, say, a higher density, a certain percentage of that development had to be allocated to those in the communities who did not earn sufficient money because of their jobs. That teacher, the police officer, the nurse as an example, who could live closer to where they worked, benefit from that community, so that you having a sense of integration. we need to look at that. That brings us together and improves the exchange. That is exactly what we did way back when. If you look at the older European cities and some of the US, you see that. Those same larger properties now have been subdivided. So what was their estate and the carriage home is becoming something else. But on top of that, go back to two things. One, that we mentioned the idea of utilizing the pension fund that are here to be invested in our country. Put in place a proper mortgage system. A mortgage is simply an agreed sum contracted between you and the lender over an agreed period, whether that's 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, whatever that sum is over that term at that fixed rate. So you can budget that you know your payment will not change unless you change the terms of your borrowing, your mortgage, by maybe going back and getting additional funds. That helps you with your budgeting. And this is not at the ask, not a request of the credit union. I am a proud member of the credit union. I would say to all who are eligible, if you're not sure, go inquire. Let's look at modernizing our legislation. We don't need to increase the fees. That was that debacle some time back about making the credit union more expensive. When the cost of doing business becomes higher, it becomes more costly for that good or service. Let's allow the credit union and or any others that may want to establish the ability to do so if they choose as a business model to do so, by ensuring that we have modern legislation for credit unions to be able to offer. Those of us who have lendings through the credit union find it not only cheaper, they find it accessible, they find it beneficial because they have a vested interest. It complements, it does not compete with the Class A banks or the other private lending that exists. The credit union helps to build communities. The legislation perhaps needs to be revised, at the very least reviewed. We would like to look closely at that to give the option as a business model, should the management choose to be able to do so. But if the legislation hinders them, they can't.
We're moving down into our final minutes here, about 3 minutes left in the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
What are your final points that you would like to make?
Well, first of all, I just want to capture very quickly what Dwayne was saying in relation to longer-term mortgages. And clearly, I think we're pretty much on the same page about longer-term mortgages, except that he of course, sees perhaps extra long mortgages as something that he wouldn't be necessarily pro on. But we also bear in mind that it's not one size fits all. For some individuals, that may be the only option that they have, is to have something longer term so that it can bring even a fixed interest rate down to a sum that they can afford. So I think we're on the same page, and it's all about opportunities, all about options for us. I'd also like to say that I certainly have, and as I've said on other programs as well, with over $300 million per year that is going out in terms of investment into the markets for pensions, that some of that money ought to be committed to local capital projects and mortgages and so on and so forth. I think it makes sense. We can structure that, the regulations, to allow for more of that money to be into local capital projects. It's just a matter of the regulations. And that's something that I support, particularly as we go into this next era here now, where it looks like we're going to be deficient and maybe having to borrow anyway. Then why not borrow from ourselves, in a sense of borrowing our own, some of the funds that's locally available. Yeah. And of course, again, I also want to just thank the good people of Red Bay for allowing me to come into their homes and canvass and so on and so forth. And I look forward to serving. And you've heard two of us today, me and Sterling, and we obviously have some differences in views, but one thing I think that we have a commonality on is that we both believe in doing and trying to do what's best for the Cayman people, and therein lies the opportunity for him and I, as two mature, experienced individuals, to if elected, I believe that I will have no trouble to work with Sterling, and I think he'll have no problems to work with me. I've always counted myself as being a collaborator, And that the 30th day of April, we're going to have those 19 people who are elected, and I look forward to playing my role in forming the next government.
Sterling, you got about 30 seconds.
Thanks again to Phil for this opportunity. And what it shows is that if we are mature, responsible, committed to the country and ensuring that we're working for the betterment and the positive development of our country, we can achieve it. 19 of us are going to be given the privilege and the honor to do so. Under a government that I'm a part of, the Economic and Social Development Research Institute, ESTRI, a local policy think tank, will be mobilized to provide independent, objective, impartial guidance that critiques what is, being discussed, but also formulate for public dissemination and consideration. The objective of one of those sort of key things for consideration is this National Development and Infrastructure Fund that could be used for the roads and the housing and the like, and the opportunities that exist through collaborative, not competitive, but collaborative and cooperative approach of all of the parliamentarians. It's going to be a difficult road ahead because of what we just already seen, the fiscal mismanagement, and sitting in cabinet and saying it wasn't me, won't cut it. We got a chance to do something. There's an invitation to partner, because at the end of the day, if we don't, what does that say? Dog eat your supper? Well, that's what we're facing. Let's go to the polls. Offering myself, as Phillip is, as responsible, respectful people who are inviting collaboration and cooperation so that the next 4 years brings a semblance of unity, not just transparency and accountability, but trust, so that the 4 years following and the 40 years thereafter puts the Caymanian people at the center of Cayman.
You've been hearing from Red Bay Independent candidate Phillip Ebanks and West Bay South Independent candidate Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thank you, Charles.
Let's talk today. Thanks for joining us. Have a great afternoon.
The preceding was a paid political broadcast.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Talk Today is also brought to you by Mike's Builders. Call 923-0706. Mike Builders. They make it happen.